In the quaint but bustling town of Trostenwald, nestled amid snow-dusted hills in the Marrow Valley, the spirit of winter's Crest was in the air. The streets were decorated with garlands and the soft glow of lanterns that flickered on street corners and on the outside of many of the snow-covered buildings. At the heart of this festive backdrop was the nestled Nook Inn, where our adventurers had found respite from their travels and a place they had temporarily called home. Squally sat by the fire with the dancing flames reflecting in her eyes. She sat making delicate snowflakes seemingly from thin air with nothing more than a wave of her hand, and each one shimmered with a faint magical bluish light before they melted away. Belle sat nearby looking on in wonder and a smile on her face, and for a brief moment forgot the table she was serving and the food that was growing cold at the bar. Beside her, Horkrin was skillfully shuffling a deck of cards, while entertaining a group of children with tales of their adventures from the Fey Wild and a promise of a game they could play. Candy was on the line, and despite winning almost every hand, the children all seemed to have the largest piles of candy, as Neva secretly shifted the piles around with the wiggle of his finger. Thradal, with his commanding yet serene presence, strummed a gentle tune on his lute. The melody was soft and reminiscent of a winter's lullaby, spreading warmth and a sense of peace to all who could hear it. The notes were bolstered by his own new sense of freedom, and carried the weight of adventure on their melody. Iju sat at a table with an open book littered with half-open letters, and the pages scattered with the lore of Winter's Crest past from across the Empire. He was searching for a tradition that could bring joy to his friends, as he tried to recall the happiest seasons he had experienced over the many years and many different lives that he lived. As the evening grew deeper, the door to the inn suddenly swung open. A cold gust of wind blew in with snow chasing behind it, and a young child entered. He wore a dusty brown overcoat and a beige flat cap resembling the cap of a mushroom dotted with various colored circles. His cheeks were red from the chill, but his eyes sparkled with excitement. He held up a small, mysterious package, wrapped in plain brown paper and tied with a neat crimson ribbon. "For you," he said, looking directly at Horkrin. "A gift from someone who remembers." The group gathered around as Horkrin carefully opened up the package, and the child slipped out the door, seemingly with the wind that followed him in. Inside the box was a beautifully crafted wooden flute. The craftsmanship was exquisite and delicate. Alongside it was a note with a single line that read, "For the music that guides your way." Horkrin's eyes softened, a rare glimpse into the depth of his usually guarded heart. As the group contemplated the meaning behind this mysterious flute, Syl looked over the townsfolk through the fogged windows of the nestled nook. He noticed the furrowed brows and weary eyes of the people as they passed by. "Friends," Syl began to speak, his voice soft yet carrying a weight to it bigger than his physical size. "The people of Trostenwald carry heavy burdens on their backs. This winter's Crest perhaps we can lift that burden and offer them not just a night of joy, but a sense of hopefulness and a moment of solace." Inspired by Syl's word and the spirit of the season, they all agreed, and they spent a moment thinking on how they could play their part. Inspired by Horkrin's gift and the idea of giving and wonder, the group decided to create a special Winter's Crest gift for the entire town of Trostenwald. Squally used her magic to create a gentle snowfall in the center of the town, covering up carts and footprints, and created a blank canvas for the night's festivities. Thradal set the scene and played his lute, and Horkrin joined in with his newly gifted flute. Together they created the music that carried down the streets and through windows and doors, drawing people out of their homes with a melody and sweet harmony that filled the air with cheer and wonder. Iju gathered children around to tell them the stories he recalled of winter from the many lands he had seen, and Neva manifested snowballs from the air and started a playful fight with anyone willing to get their hands cold. Meanwhile, Syl found himself surrounded by the citizens of the town who were seeking comfort. He stopped and listened to their stories and offered healing through his magic. He shared words of encouragement and scraps of food that Belle had carefully packed for him from the Nook's kitchen. His presence had become a pillar for so many in the short time he was here, and was a reminder that they were not alone in their struggles or their worries. He had become like a guardian angel to some of them. As the night sky darkened and the celebration continued, Syl spoke to the crowd. His voice had a sense of conviction and carried a warmth that cut through the evening chill. He spoke to them of resilience, compassion, and the enduring light of hope that Winter's Crest represents. He spoke of kindness and giving, and the strength that a sense of togetherness provided. Inspired by his words, the people of Trossenwald began to share not just their food and songs, but their gratitude and blessings with one another, embracing the true essence of the season. Moved by the growing warmth of the community, Syl joined his friends, and together they led the town in a grand lighting of candles. Each flame sparked from one to another, weaving a tapestry of light that enveloped the entire town. Syl offered a prayer, his words like a gentle caress in the crisp night air, blessing the ceremony and all who partook. The collective light from the candles cast a serene glow, symbolizing the unity and shared hope of Trossenwald's people. Everyone, young and old, held their candle, and the flames flickered like stars against the night sky. The combined light banished the darkness of night, and for a moment it felt as if the very stars themselves had descended to Trossenwald's streets. In that radiant glow, all differences faded, and a sense of unity prevailed. Settled upon his usual stool, in his usual spot, and in his usual mood, Ed Crankle swirled the ale around inside his mug, grumbling to himself about the hustle and bustle of everyone leaving the inn to go be festive out in the streets. Ed Crankle, the townsfolk fondly referred to as Old Cranklepuss, walked his way over to the window. He witnessed the town celebrating, sharing candlelight, looked upon the ground, and said to himself, "Oi, who's going to shovel all that?"